A man of many sports for UCF, the voice of UCF Athletics, Marc Daniels with us on 365 Sports. Mark, thanks for your time. Baseball, take care of business?
We did not today, but there's a game tomorrow, so we're optimistic tomorrow. We dropped the opening game of the series here in Cincinnati and come back tomorrow, part of a three-game set. So down the stretch of the season, just trying to get a little bit of momentum, but fell short today.
So, of the four incoming teams, we've heard from those who either cover or are part of the broadcast at Houston, Cincinnati, and also at Brigham Young, and obviously wanted to get your expertise, opinion. In your opinion, why is UCF more prepared perhaps than the others incoming, and what are still maybe a couple of concerns for them?
Well, if we're more prepared than others, I think we're all in unique situations. I think UCF has been building momentum from the success of 2017 and 18, not knowing that an opportunity to move up to a Power 5 was happening. But I think that they established a brand, built that brand, and developed a reputation with the success they had in football in those years, and have been able to maintain it the last several seasons. So I think that has kind of helped UCF, and with Gus Malzahn coming in the last couple of years, 2 9-win seasons and playing an exciting style of football. I think the other factors that help UCF is the market that we're in. It's the top 20 television market, largest school in the country as far as enrollment, and such a bright future that UCF is in the infancy compared to so many people. Guys, if you think about this, the makeup of the Power 5 now, I think there's only 5 schools that did not start in the 1800s, and we're one of them. We're the youngest of the Power 5 schools that didn't open up until the late 1960s. So there's a lot of things that are developing in the growth of UCF. So I think that the stage is now set for them to go to the next level, and the next level is to get an opportunity to compete against a different set of schools, develop new rivalries, and to grow its brand. And I think each of the new schools coming in is unique in what they have to offer. We've always prided ourselves in building about we're a little bit different, we're younger, we can try some things because we don't have that legacy of the past that kind of you have to act a certain way. And I think UCF has taken advantage of that over the years. I'm not quite sure there's anything that they're not prepared for other than understanding the level of competition in all of our sports. We're going to have to raise up. And you don't just do that with one recruiting cycle. You don't just say, well, now we're in this league and now we can contend. Those are things that I think you have to play catch up on. I think on facilities, we're in a good spot now. We've got to continue to grow. We've got a great plan in place over the next X number of years. So those are things that I don't think are challenges. I think those are exciting things that you're working towards that'll take more than just one off season.
Mark, do you think that they have built this up enough to a Power 5-ish roster, not just knowing that they were going to be here, but that they've had the success that they've had, undefeated seasons and all that down the line, that they've been able to get close enough to where they need to be to make us at least a moderate splash in year one?
Yeah, I think the football roster at UCF is in pretty good shape right now. When Gus got here, he inherited a pretty good program. And then I think just before we knew we were going to the Big 12, he felt like he could recruit at a little bit different level because of where he was, the connections that he had. And then at the same time, guys, the portal took on a new level. And Gus was very aggressive in year one. And now going into year 3, he's been very aggressive. Now knowing where he's going, he had to zero in on some areas that we had to improve on. And guys, you know this. The challenge is going to be in the depth of the line, the quality of your linemen. How good are your offensive linemen and defensive linemen? If somebody goes down, what kind of depth do you have? I think UCF, in some areas, can compete right now. I think from a standpoint of wide receivers and running backs and their secondary, I think that they're in a good spot. And while they've got good offensive and defensive linemen, it's the quality and the depth that is a struggle. We're all looking for quality of linemen. So I think that's where Gus knows he had to really upgrade himself. He did a great job on the high school level, bringing in some quality defensive linemen. We had to go heavy in the portal when it came to offense and brought in a number of experienced offensive linemen. I think that's going to be the challenge. And the other thing, and I said, I think the last time I was on with you guys, both for players and fans, the understanding of the 9-game schedule, it is a big difference, 8 to 9, and I think the week-to-week grind of not just the quality of competition, but the atmospheres. And I've said this, I've been about this before in my show and on column. It's no knock against some good programs in the American, but we would go on the road and we would take the field in some places. There's 2,000-3,000 fans at the game. That's not the case in the Big 12. We're talking about sold-out crowds and great atmospheres, and you've got to be able to bring that every single week. And I think that's something that UCF's got to prepare for that's been different than where they've been for the last decade.
What would you say would be like the main storyline that was, the focus of spring, coming out of spring? Is it the fact they've got, quarterback back in John Rice Plumlee? Is it the strength of another area? Is it the lack of strength in another area? What was kind of the theme revolving around spring outside of course, hey, we're heading into the Big 12. We've got some things to take care of.
Yeah, I think, two new coordinators. Darren Henshaw came in as the offensive coordinator, he's former quarterback at UCF, and Darren's been in a number of schools, including Kentucky recently. And Gus Malzahn kind of giving him the keys to the offense or what was going to change with that offense. Darren's a guy that both as a player and as a coach wanted to be a little bit more vertical than perhaps what Gus was comfortable doing with the SEC mentality. As much as Gus enjoys kind of opening things up, he's committed to running the football. Well, UCF's going to commit to run the football. But I think with Darren Henshaw as the OC, you might see a few more let's go vertical down the field and trust our wide receivers that we can beat some guys one-on-one. And as the wide receiver position has grown so much in recent years, for now, 50-50 balls, guys are almost 70-30. I think you'll see UCF take a few more shots downfield. They tweak some things with John Rice probably to make him feel more comfortable. But there were some spots that UCF had to fill, like I mentioned about the offensive line where they went heavy portal. We were very thin at linebacker going into the spring, and UCF had to be aggressive, which they were, picking up a couple of linebackers at the end of spring as the portal was closing. So I think those were some spots to see how the offense was going to change, shoring up the linebacker position, getting healthy with some guys that weren't there in the spring in the secondary. Addison Williams was on the staff. He now becomes the defensive coordinator for UCF as their previous DC moved on to go to the SEC. So those are some things that UCF certainly wanted to see what happened. I think they come back in the fall feeling good. I think Gus feels like he's on the plus side of who he lost and who he gained in the portal. I think he feels comfortable where the offense is right now. Then he's got to go out, play some games and find out who you are.
Of the schedule, and you still have Cincinnati and Houston on the schedule, but Oklahoma's on the road, Baylor, West Virginia, Oklahoma State at home, Texas Tech's a road game, as is defending champion K-State. Is the Oklahoma game the one that everybody has everybody's attention, or is there one of the home games?
Isn't that great for us to say? Those are our opponents. It's awesome. Guys, I'll tell you what, no game should be a make or break game, but I'm going to tell you, UCF plays at Boise State, second game of the year. It's a really critical football game. We beat Boise State a couple of years ago in a game that was delayed by rain and took a long time and kind of held them off late. And we're going to go out there, and they got better as the year went along out there. They feel like they have their quarterback, and they're going to be hungry to get UCF. It's a critical game because UCF goes there, then they play Villanova before diving into the conference schedule. If you can win a quality road game and you come home and you're 3-0 going into conference play, you got a really good level of confidence against what you know is going to be a tough schedule. But to answer your question, look, I think UCF fans are excited for every opportunity now against a new group of opponents, what rivalries may develop. To pick at any one particular game, I'm not quite sure. Obviously, Oklahoma, because of Dylan Gabriel, is a game that UCF fans have circled, and a lot of fans plan like, I want to go to that football game. It's going to be really interesting. But in a transfer portal world, this is now a lot more common. Certainly going to Kansas State is going to be an interesting football game. We were there years ago when George Lear was the coach and had a chance to win that game. So, there's a lot of interesting games that are on the schedule and excited to get some of those teams coming to our place. But I think that Boise State game is a real telling game early in the season for UCF before we even get to the conference schedule.
Mark, it's around the corner. It's here. It's been official, but it's just around the corner. Look forward to seeing you. Thanks for all the times you've been on with us, because we're going to bother you some more coming down the road.
Anytime, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Marc Daniels, voice of UCF Athletics, with us on 365 Sports. So thanks to Marc Daniels, Joseph Duarte.